Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the West Coast, where today we are doing a bit of straw, well, a bit of wheat harvesting. We of course are in MR, and we got the class Lexion 750. You might notice that I've changed the header since the last video where I was harvesting. I'm down to a class V750 header, and that is because the 10.5 meter header I was using, the 1050, was a bit too big. To the point where the harvester was literally going at 2 kilometers an hour in spots, sometimes less. That wasn't very good. So on actually instructions from BulletBill, I've stopped down to the 7.5 meter header, and this one seems to be doing a lot better in terms of harvesting speed, although obviously the pickup is a lot less. You can also see over there in the distance I have the Marston trailer ready to go. We're in the evening time. Got a lovely sunset going on in the background. And it's actually quite close to real time here. If I move the game forward by about 19 minutes, that's realistic time. It is Tuesday for me. There was no video yesterday because I didn't have time to do it, and I'm recording on Tuesday because I was actually really busy on Monday tidying my room. My desk is still a mess, the desktop stuff is still a bit of a mess, but the worst part of the rubbish and the worst mess is now cleared. So there is a very real risk that during tomorrow's stream you'll see me randomly scoot backwards when I press the brake. Because I'm used to not having the chair move, and now that I've got the room tidied, the chair can... Hang on. Now that I've got my room tidied... What's the... Oh, is it the feather duster stopping it? It was in fact the feather duster. I was just moving my radiator a bit so I could turn it on. Now that I got my room tidied, my chair is rolling freely, so I'm kind of scooting around already as is. Just kind of having to deal with the randomness that happens now when I press down on the pedals a bit too hard. And I've got a habit of slamming on the brakes, which doesn't bode well for me. And also not just like using the full of my foot on the brake instead of just the ball of my foot, which basically pushes me backwards at quite a speed if I'm panicking. But our plan for today is not just to finish the harvest, because I do have two plans, but to start baling up the straw as well. And we're not actually going to make Heston bales. The reasoning behind this is I want to demonstrate something, I want to show something off that happened recently. That is that the Straw Harvest DLC, for those of you that have it, Straw Harvest add-on, whatever you want to call it, is now in more realistic. It's now MRified, which presumably means that some of the weights and whatever have been reduced slightly, and it's been made to work with MR a bit more. So if you are following the beta page on FSUK, which is where I get my versions of MR from the Google Drive, if you download version 1.05, I think it's 6 or 3, that is the version of More Realistic Mod that actually supports the Straw Harvest add-on. There's also a workaround for the fact that the sugarcane seeds / saplings were way too heavy in MR before, and just kind of fixes that. I've already explained why I'm using the 7.5 meter header. I think I'm kind of up to date with what's changed. Although to address comments and questions that I'm going to get, and I know I'll get, no, I do not have Oakfield. If I had Oakfield, you would have had a first look today instead, or yesterday, or whenever. As soon as I get it, you'll get a first look. Don't worry. You'll get my first impressions of the map. I have not watched Landy's first look, I have not watched Simulate's first look, I have not watched Dagowin's first look. Landykit is currently streaming Oakfield, and I'm recording instead, because... not because I don't like Landy, Not because I don't like Oxygen David, but because I want to go into that map completely blank. I want to go into it. Granted, I've asked them some questions and got some pictures of the map from them, so that I can do some stuff and plan some stuff. And I am planning my starter equipment as is, and I will be playing that map with more realistic mod as well. Pretty much everything I do moving forwards will be with more realistic mod, and I do have another series planned out that I'm going to start working on today, but not recording today, because I think I'm going to need 4 or 5 hours of setup time for that series. I'm sure people are now very curious as to what on earth Captain Lazy would need 5 hours of setup time for. All will become clear in the future. Occasionally. I call myself Captain Lazy. I'm the one who spent like 5 hours tidying yesterday. I'm actually I actually set out to do a much lazier job yesterday and then ended up getting annoyed. Sorting everything out. And I feel a lot better for it. There's a few things I need to do yet. They'll happen in the coming days. But I feel much better now that my room is at least mostly presentable. I'm getting myself back in order. I've been not in the greatest spot personally for a little while. It may have come through in streams and videos, but I've go through those periods. Sometimes I'll take a week's break to deal with them. Sometimes I'll just continue on because they're not that bad. And yeah, this time I just kind of wasn't that bad, so I just continued on as normal. Fun fact, my sanity breaks are legitimately for sanity. So something I should probably start talking about is Christmas, because that's coming up soon. I'm sure there's going to be people wondering what my plans are for the Christmas period. I can tell you guys right now, December 24th, 25th, 26th for sure. Well, 25th and 26th for sure, I will not be streaming. The same goes January 1st, and possibly New Year's Eve as well. I might not stream New Year's Eve, I don't know. But the plan is that I'm not going to be streaming Christmas Eve, because I've got traditional family things to do. My family has some odd Christmas Eve traditions that we kind of take part in. Christmas Day, obviously, no, I might be on Discord, I might pop a map onto the dedicated server, remove all mods, and just play about with you guys for a bit on Christmas Day if I'm on in the evening, and just cause some mayhem, like I did last year. Although the dedicated server, whilst it exists, is now just an 8-person server. It's supposed to be for the multiplayer, which we've kind of been ignoring. Also, yeah, this happens sometimes with MRs. Like, you'll scoot down at way too high speed, the engine gets confused, and you'll end up going 2 kilometers an hour and pooping out a butt ton of straw. One thing that I do like about MR, it's actually about time that I go over and grab the trailer. One thing that I really like about MR, it's something that is kind of subtle at times, but can be quite clearly seen in this field here. The yields are very, very realistic. And I'm going to let that feed into something that I've got planned. Something I've got planned in the near future. I was also just kind of screwing about screwing about last night, looking through the Lua files for MR, because I was kind of curious as to what exactly Durrell was tweaking. See this chainsaw? Yeah, this has been edited by Durrell. Even the chainsaws have been tweaked to be more realistic. And if you're wondering why exactly I'm using the Marston trailer and I'm not using the IT runner, it's basically for weight reasons. The IT runner trailer was unfortunately just too big and too heavy and too cumbersome to be useful in this field. And I'm actually going to take one of the steepest routes here just to show, but if I use a realistic sized trailer, yes, the tractor does slow. This is the IT runner right now, be stopped, but you know, it keeps going. It just kind of more realistic forces your hand and forces you to play. If not 100% realistic, then definitely, you know, as realistically as you can with what mods you have and whatnot. And seeing as the Marstons are by BulletBill, and this is BulletBill's map, I felt it was kind of fitting. And the Marston is actually MR as well. Now, I will at some point need to pause recording and go get the baler. In fact, I might just time-lapse the rest of the field when I get back and go grab the baler while I'm doing that. I don't have any button on my joystick. I don't think I do anyway, to tip grain, so we'll just kind of do it this way. And what I'll do is I'll use this shit over here as a turning vane. I forgot the fast track and reverse at 20 kilometers an hour. That was way too fast. I do have the Heron trailer. I need to do an MR convert on it myself at some point, and then I'll start using that instead of the Marston, because I do like the Heron. It's quite well detailed. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip into time-lapse for the rest of this field and go grab the baler and get started with that then, and I'll see you guys then. the farm with the baler now, and if you're wondering why I made a little twig into the field and then suddenly decided not to, it's because I realized this thing wouldn't actually, it wasn't actually going to turn into the field, it was going to just have issues. So I brought it up to the yard just to spin it around, and we'll attack the field and enter the field from a better position. Now, like I said, this is now in Armour spec, the BigPack 1290 HDP 2XC. I've actually got it correct. Hey, I've got it correct this time. Usually I'll get the 1290 BigPack HDP 2 and XC all screwed up and make up a name for myself, or whatever it is. But this time I got it correct. So let's get the bale chute out. And we'll spin up the flywheel. Just gonna hold off for a second, let that spin up. I think it's pretty good spun up now, so let's get some straw into it. I'm not entirely sure. Yes, it is making slices. I forgot how baling actually works in MR. It's not done by well, it's not done immediately, it's done by when the plunger strikes. So there has to be a certain amount of straw or material in the chamber for a bale to, or a slice of bale to be formed. This is probably going to bog this way down, is it? No, we're kind of good. And the only reason I'm using this is because it is now in MR spec. I'll probably swap back to making just Hestons on these fields in the near future. But I figured, seeing as this is the straw harvest DLC, it makes sense for me to do a bit of straw work with the balers from it. I actually prefer this thing on hay, personally. And you can see that it's kicking out quite a lot of dust and smoke. Or dust mainly, I hope. And it's working through the bale fairly slowly. Obviously it's not going to just immediately magically kick out bales, it's going to take a bit of time to get the bales through the chamber. And here is our first one, which is straw. Very good. However, you might notice that we're not producing many bales at all. And this is the 10.5 meter headland. This is the only headland that I've done with the 10.5 meter header with MR, but it was so slow that I literally just, I think it was at this point that I was giving up on the 10.5 meter header as an idea, and I just figured I'd finish the headland with the 10.5, with the 10.50, swap over to the 7.50 immediately, and move on from there. So we are going to be slowing to a crawl coming around here now. I do have my foot flat to the ground. The throttle pedal is down as far as it'll go, and you can see that the fast track is absolutely trying its best. It may have run out of power for this. Has it run out of power? Do I need to raise the pickup maybe? Okay, got a bit of momentum from raising the pickup, which is great. Still haven't dropped a single bale on the field yet though. Also, it looks like, I've just noticed this, it looks like MR's tweaked the amount of baling twine this thing takes. Because I'm sure I was at 87% before, and now I'm down to 37%, so presumably Doral has tweaked the baling twine capacity to be a bit more realistic, because 200 bales out of one set of twine, which is quite a lot of twine, that's kind of hilariously low. Um, like, pointlessly, hilariously, though. Just gonna rewind, reverse here, and get going on the second headland. Probably should be doing the over and back first, but oh well, we'll do the headlands and hope that it doesn't go too badly from here. We're not going to have silly amounts of bales just kind of lying around, so it should be okay. As the baler just takes off by itself. Oh my god, slow down, please. Yeah, downhill is not a good thing with MR. It just kind of decides at random to shoot off and yeah, not fun. It'd be nice if it could, like, when it takes off, it changes the shape of the bales to be a bit more elongated. Or a bit wonkier, I guess. That's something that I don't think the game engine could handle. Yeah, there's so many nice things that I'd like to see, but it's just not something that's realistic at all for me to expect of Giant's engine, which, as I've said to certain people, you know, you can do absolutely everything you want in Giant's engine. Whether or not Giant's engine actually takes it and does what you want with it is a different matter. You know, you can do whatever you want, and then Giant's engine will throw a tantrum and then just decide to do something completely different. And that's what can happen sometimes with MR. Although looking at the Lua files last night was a real eye-opener to just how insane Dural really is. Like, you've got scripting guys like Zentro who make these amazing scripts with lots of, you know, lots of fun little things in them. And then you've got guys like Dural who, and I mean no disrespect by saying this, are completely bonkers. In a good way. There is a good way to be bonkers, because nobody else, I think, in the farm sim community would have thought to, as part of a more realistic set of scripts, tweak how the chainsaws work, and tweak how the Ponce Scorpion works, and the Rust Soul Mash, whatever it is. He's tweaked them for MR. He's tweaked how wood chippers work. But the chainsaws, they don't even take fuel, and he's tweaked them to put out more power when cutting trees, and, you know, take a realistic amount of time to get through trees. That's over the top silly levels of detail. If you wanted a reason why I love MR, it's that. It's just the attention to detail, which is something that I've always said I like. You know, I'm not changing my tune all of a sudden to, oh, MR is great because of the detail. I've always said I like attention to detail in mods, especially scripts, where it's particularly hard to... These bales are 6,000 litres all of a sudden. It's just dawned on me there. How... Is it going to show me 5,800 litres per bale? I may be best off doing these in straw bales then. Just MR straw bales. They're 5,800 litres a bale. Because, like, the Hestons are only 300 litres more. I think the MR Hestons are the wrong capacity. So, I might get rid of the Heston baler and just kind of use this from now on. Although, granted, I will probably have to top it up on baling twine at some point. I will also consider getting a bigger tractor. Something like maybe a 7R to suppose. Is the 7R more powerful? I need to check now. Is the 7R more powerful than the fast track? Because I'm using the 8230. Right, so this is 310 horsepower. I was kind of confused as to why I was saying 99. And the 7R, which if I just skip down to the end, is 310 in 7290. 310 horsepower and 7310R configuration. So it might even have to be the 8400R that I use. I mean, alternatively, I could go for something like, because I'd like to run something that has wheels. I could run a Magnum, which has 409 horsepower. The Valtra S is an option, I guess, or a Fendt 900 or T8. Because like right now I'm putting out, yeah, 310 with the 8310. Is my Puma more powerful by any chance? No, there's no way. Yeah. I'm gonna have to look into new tractors. However, I did say during the streams over the weekend that there's a secondary issue. And the secondary issue is the biogas plant. Which sounds odd, doesn't it? The biogas plant, I need £240,000 or euros or whatever currency you want to say that I'm using here. I'm going to need 240 grand to get that running again. Because I've put in the BGA extension mod, which means you have to pay to open the BGA in the first place. By putting it into the game, it's decided that I was never using the BGA, which I kind of was hoping it would do. I didn't want to just magically have it running. I'm not going to use creative money to get the BGA running. I could, but I'm not going to. The whole point of it is to discourage me from just spamming silage the whole time. I do actually want to try as much as I can to fill the silage clamp. And I think I might actually just get a forage wagon. A forage wagon to do that. Kind of moving forwards. The headland's done, by the way, so we'll just move on and do the straight lines. Although I do get the feeling that we're running short on time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to time-lapse into this video up until we hit half an hour. I'm going to leave you until, well, I'm going to leave you right now, voice-wise, commentary-wise, by saying, I've been RainbowDave, you've been watching a Farming Simulator. No, we wouldn't have, I don't think we're anywhere close to, oh well, time-lapse into the video anyway. I've been RainbowDave, you've been watching Farming Simulator 17 on the West Coast with the more realistic mod and the straw add-on, which is now an MR and actually works really nicely, I must admit. Until next time, stay safe, and goodbye.